Alrighty, so this shouldn't be too long. It'll be about like just under 16 minutes. This did end in a victory with the enemy team surrendering, but what I'm making this about
Welcome to
is
Summoner's Rift.
nothing to do with, oh, look at me, I'm so good, check out this build. This is I actually call it an average Joe's guide
30
to
seconds until minions spawn.
kind of League in general, but this is really more for top lane and kind of how to play your game and not get tilted, not get impatient, and all that fun stuff. I used to play League a lot in high school, from like 2010 to 2013, and I hadn't played it for a long time. I've been getting back into it, working my way up to level 30 so I can start playing ranked. So this is just an unranked blind pick. This ain't like some
Minions have
diamond
spawned.
master level game or nothing like that. This is this is low elo, unranked, random matchup, all that fun stuff. So anywho, if I'm remembering it right, in this game I just go straight 0-0-0. There's nothing crazy that really happens, but I get matched in top lane with a Smolder, which this is my first time having one of them that was in top lane. But what I learned very quickly was that there was no way in hell I was going to be able to be aggressive, catch him, get kills, anything like that. This very quickly turned into a defensive, just don't lose the game laning phase. Which is not that uncommon depending on what type of matchup you run into. And that's kind of what I wanted to pick this replay for, was just kind of a little bit of a showcase of, like, especially because if you're running in unranked or low elo especially, you'll get this stuff a lot where when you don't know all the champions yet, or you've come back after a long time and there's all kinds of new ones, and you're just... It's a big part of League is game knowledge, and when you don't really know what they do or how their stuff works, I mean, you just get a bad matchup sometimes. And Garen, since he has a lack of any actual CC, I just had no way as this lane phase goes on to where I could really catch and do anything to this Smolder. So what this ends up becoming is a war of attrition. And what you'll notice, though, that I do very quickly is, and it's easy to do with Garen thanks to his passive, is you just pull back, don't take any damage, heal up. You just use your Q and E to pretty quickly clear the minions as they come under your tower, just to keep, so you don't lose your lane. It became apparent fairly quickly to me that, yeah, I'm not going to be able to just push this out, dominate this lane or nothing, but what I can do is, first off, not feed my enemy top lane, which that's number one and most important when running any lane, is don't feed your opponent by doing something stupid like running out to the middle of the lane when you know you can't catch them or kill them just to die over and over again. Like this, it's so common to see in the lower elo setting, and I don't get it. The first time or two, right, where you think that, okay, maybe I can get them, sure, but by the time they've got like 2 kills up on you, and they got an item advantage, like, you should know by then that you are not just going to be able to run out in the middle of the lane and just pick a fight and win. Which is where this style of play is kind of what you end up having to do. You're not going to win your lane, but you won't lose it either. And like I said, this is a lot easier to do with a guy like Garen, because of his passive, which gives him a, when you go without taking damage for, I think it's like 8 seconds, something like that, he gets a pretty massive amount of health regens per second. I think the thing's, what, like 2% of his max health every 5 seconds, which is, it's a huge amount of lane sustain, especially if you pair it with a Doran's Shield, which I believe is my starting item. Like, if there's one thing with Garen, right, you might not win every lane matchup, but you shouldn't lose out your lane if you play defensive, in the worst case. I don't think it shows my items here, but man, I think, like, I could not believe how mobile Smolder is, because I went and rushed straight for some boots of swiftness, you know, the old Swifties, thinking that, okay, I'll use that to catch him. And my god, he didn't even have any boots yet, and just with his, whatever his little glide move is, I never could outpace him, which just was like crazy. Even once I hit level 6, had my ult, thought, yeah, maybe I'll get some kills, but it's alright. And you see Shaco runs in here. Oh, with the Yuumi attached to him, I didn't even notice that the first time. Yeah, just if you get in a situation like this, low elo, or it's especially common in low elo, especially when you don't know matchups, or you're doing blind pick, especially. Just don't be afraid to just take a step back and hang around under your tower, take the safe waves out in the lane when you see the enemies left or recalling. Like you can see Smolder under his turret there doing that on the mini map. And then he teleports in. Yeah, just it's you know, like there's 2 rules when running lanes, and that's don't feed and try not to lose your lane over something stupid. As you can see, gotta take that to heart. I'm being very patient, not trying to force anything, especially when I know Shaco's been happy to come up here already. And what's great about a champ like Garen, I like to play Mundo some too, and he doesn't have the greatest lane clear until you get some items on him. But with Garen, it's very nice because, and part of it is this Smolder. If you'll look here, he doesn't. If he wanted to do this right, he would just focus on blast hitting instead of clearing these waves as fast as possible, so that as many of his minions as possible die to my minions to deny me creep score and farm, which he doesn't do. He just keeps very quickly clearing them out, so I really didn't lose any creep here because I could just run up and spin to win on the whole minion wave when it gets to the turret. So I was actually in a very healthy position pretty much this whole game through, thanks to that. And of course that Garen passive is awesome because I can just stay in lane as long as I have to. And you'll see here in a little bit, this Smolder gets very impatient because I just haven't been coming out and giving him any chances to get the kills, and he'll eventually leave top lane, he goes to mid, which gives me a very big opening that I run in and almost take out his turret before anybody does anything to stop me. Which is great, because you'd think the situation I'm in here, if he just kept doing this, I would never get a chance to come out and do anything. But the way this game goes, and is what you hope for, right, when you're having to take this defensive playstyle, is that, okay, I'm not going to lose my lane, I'm going to hold it, I'm going to keep their top attention held up here, not feed them, not give them a chance to just super outscale, and hopefully my team in mid or bot lane will do well, get fed, push out, and get to where they can roam. And that's what happened with my bot lane in this game, which is great. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's very, very nice. So you see bot lane was able to super push out, they started coming up, pushing mid lane, and they pop it pretty soon, and I'm still just up here holding top, and this Smolder just, as a consequence of this being me having picked Garen for this as opposed to somebody else, just is not able to do anything. It's very nice. And I've had plenty of these games where, you know, you have to adopt this very defensive playstyle. Like I've had, probably one of the worst matchups I've ever had was I was Mundo and I got matched with a Teemo. Oh god, that sucks. It sucks so bad. Like, if you're ever in a draft pick where you know the enemy's picked Teemo for top lane, do yourself a favor, do not play Mundo. Teemo's poison just absolutely eats the crap out of his HP. Although I've had pretty good luck against Teemo as Garen on top.
Your team's turret has been destroyed.
And you see here, once again, I'm doing the... because he keeps just killing my wave as fast as possible. His entire minion wave gets up here, and I just use the E, spin to win, kill him out, and then Garen's passive, that health just skyrockets back up the floor. Because yet again, right, if he was playing this smart, he would take his time, he would have just last hit, and he would have starved me out of gold and experience. Because I can't get close to these waves while he's here. Because he just gets free pot shots on me. And I think this is the point where... yeah, where he just leaves lane, and I'll next see him show up in mid. To which tells me that I can just go and push, which I'm more than happy to do. See, I think at this point I'm kind of backing up. I'm like, alright, really see what's going on. Do a recall. But yeah, really, like, that just, in this, it's especially true for top lane, but it's, for mid and bot, it can be the same way, but it's especially jungle. Actually, jungle and top are probably two most important for this, is to, especially in lower elo, play your game. Don't get focused on, oh, I've got to be the carry, I've got to get 20 kills, and all this other nonsense. Just play your game. Hold your lane. If you can maintain pressure and force the enemy back, great. If you can't, play defensive. If that's what it comes to, then that's what you got to do. The most important thing is just don't feed. And even if you lose your tower, right, there's a huge difference between losing the tower at 8 minutes versus 18 minutes. But yeah, I guess this kind of really is just how to deal with a bad matchup, which is just don't feed, play defensive. Yeah, and I believe it's here where you can see that. Yeah, I must have missed him. We should have mid at some point, which, yeah, all four of them pushing mid. No wonder the enemy team surrenders not long after this. They can't get a leg up on any of the lanes. And that is thanks to playing defensive, holding top. I can't tell you the number of times where, and it's really easy to see when you're playing jungle. I like jungle. Which, word of advice, you're playing jungle and low elo, stick with somebody more like a Warwick or Fiddlesticks. Because I like Kha'Zix, I really like to play him, I try to make him work, but oh my gosh, low elo, it just does not most of the time. Because your team just doesn't give you the opportunities you need as that type of champion. Whereas somebody like Warwick or Fiddlesticks, you can make the opportunities yourself, or your W, in Warwick's case, leads you straight to them. But yeah, just focus on playing your game. And I can't speak for everyone, but for me at least, even if I'm seeing somebody that's like not able to push out or just dominate their lane like that, I don't care about that. The only thing I really look for that makes me think somebody knows what they're doing and knows how to play is when they, in a bad matchup especially, they don't run out in the middle of the lane and just feed. And they don't lose their tower super fast because they keep taking stupid risks. I think at this point I've got a Stride Breaker. And of course with Garen's passive, you're always willing to rush out and do that stuff because you'll just heal it back up. But I think I have my Stride Breaker by this point, which is an absolutely phenomenal item on Garen, who has no CC outside of the silence on his Q. I didn't get much, but yeah, the active on the Stride Breaker is a AoE. It's an AoE around yourself in a circle that applies a slow, which is it's very nice on, I mean, any melee champ, but it's I find it really good on guys like Garen. I like it on Olaf. That's also good on Warwick. Actually, it's really good on Warwick because you can leap over them with a Q on him straight to a Stride Breaker for the slow. And if you compare that with his E Sphere, it's a double CC. It's really nice. But yeah, it is, yeah. Just hold your lane. Like I said, they end up forfeiting here in a little bit. This game ends as a victory, and my score is 0-0-0, but I can very confidently say I did my job. I didn't feed and allow their top lane to get a lead that he could put to use somewhere else. I didn't lose my tower, so they weren't able to just use the top lane as a pressure point. It's kind of how it ends up when you get one of these matchups where you just really can't do much, as you just cling for dear life. And some champs do it a lot easier than others. Like, as much as I like Mundo, I don't think I could have held in this position nearly as well with him as with Garen. Although at the same time, you also have the cleaver shots from
Killing
Luzelle,
spree.
so I might have been able to actually force him back. You know, I don't really know. I'm not very familiar with Smolder. He's a champion that was added sometime after I quit playing, and I've seen him in bot lane and a couple other spots before, but this was my first time laning against him. And that boy's freaking mobile. Like, really mobile. Like, that little glide ability of his, holy crap. Like, for the first 8 or 9 minutes of this lane, I would keep going out, even after I had my Swifties. I'd Swifties with the Q thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to get close to him, get some damage in, push him out. And I never could because of that mobility. Yeah, it's crazy. But, yeah. Seriously, just average Joe's advice here. Just play your game. Just don't feed. Hold your tower. And, you know, if you get a good chance, you can go in for a kill. I'm not telling you you got to be super passive and can't do anything. But, like, if you're in a matchup where you just... Well, essentially, they're so mobile, you just can't catch them. Then just play defensive. Hope hope your other lanes will get a lead. And if your top lane gets impatient enough that they, leave lane searching for kills elsewhere, that's your chance to go in, push that turret, and start roaming yourself. But just focus on your creep, focus on your gold, so that if the game goes long, you don't have a problem. And with any luck, you'll have a team like I did this game, which is actually able to push both.
Red team has slain the dragon.
I guess it was really just bot lane. They never were able to get cracked mid. But they just were able to really push and dominate bot lane. And the kill counter for this whole game wasn't very crazy either. It was 1 to 5. Which by 15 minutes and with an enemy team surrender like that, you'd expect it to be a bit farther. This is honestly just a pretty safe game all across the board. Nothing super crazy. But yeah, hi. There you go. There's your average Joe advice. Just focus on playing your lane, play your game. Just cling for dear life to the tower if that's what it comes to. And don't be afraid to be defensive and miss some creep score. Like, getting kills doesn't win games, right? Making the enemies forfeit or popping their nexus is what wins a game. And conversely, not getting your own nexus popped wins games. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having to go 0-0-0. I mean, there's not. It's kind of crazy to me how many times I've been, and I see it in the jungle a lot. I see it when I'm in mid lane a lot too, where you can really kind of pay attention to your other lanes, looking for gank opportunities and stuff. But I'll see this all the time, usually in bot more so than top, but you do see it in tops to where they'll just say your bot lane, right? They'll have 2 deaths on the carry, 3 on the support, no kills yet. The enemy team is just the enemy bot lane is pretty fed. Their jungle is constantly here running in for ganks, and yet they refuse to just stay back and play defensive and wait for a hand or hope another lane can win theirs and push it out. They just consistently will come and low elo and high elo. You don't really see this because people know how to be patient. They just keep running out into the middle of the lane trying to push a minion wave in, and then they get jumped. And then they die. And then by the time you get to the late game,
Red team has
you've got
slain
an
the
enemy
dragon.
bot lane and jungler that have been fed by this crap. And it's just annoying. So I guess, yeah, if you're seeing this and you're like me and you may be coming back to League or working your way up to level 30 to get into ranks, or you're just in quick play, or maybe you're in the lower elos of ranking trying to work your way up. Like, number one advice I have for you as just a guy, and it's not anything crazy mechanic-wise, or, oh, you need to hit this combo of stuff or buy this item. It's just, if you're outmatched in your lane, don't get impatient. It's okay. You don't have to win your lane. You don't have to get 10 kills. If you can just maintain it, keep your enemy down in your lane
Blue team's
by
turret
not
has been
allowing them to
destroyed.
just push through your tower, you're doing great. Just hold on, cling to your tower for dear life, play defensive, and give your other lanes a chance to push out, make a lead, and then come down and help. Or up and help in this case, although the game didn't last long enough for that to for that to actually happen. But it's okay not to dominate your lane. You don't have to. You can play defensive, have 0 kills, and just focus on farming your creep, farming your gold. Like, it's okay. That's what wins games, is getting enough gold to buy items, to then when team fights happen later, you get enough kills that you can very safely just push some lanes up and go for the Nexus. So yeah, just people call it tilting, but I just don't get impatient. Don't get tilted. Just if you gotta play defense, just play defense. It's okay. Give your other lanes a chance to do their job. Don't feed. For the love of God, just don't feed. That's all I or anybody else can ever ask of you. So yeah, I guess that's it for me on this one. I guess if you kind of enjoyed, I don't know, my little talk about this, just I guess you can give the video a like, maybe subscribe. I'm gonna do more of this stuff because I've really been enjoying League as I get back into it. I'll do some more of these average Joe guides, I guess is what I'll call them. See, I'm not trying to pretend like, oh, I'm some super great, I'm challenger, I'm gonna get you to, you know, diamond rank or anything. Nah, this is just the guy that's coming back and sees things and is kind of like, you know, I don't know if anybody's ever. And to be fair, right, like when I first started playing way back in 2010, I was the exact same. I thought I had to get kills. If I was down on kills, that meant when I got back to lane, I had to rush out. I needed to get one quick. And just over time with playing it and coming back and kind of get back in the groove again, it's like, you know, you don't have to. If you can, for me, what I consider a successful lane phase right now, if you can dominate and you go and you're up like 10 kills by the 20-minute mark, that's great. That's awesome. But if you can't, like, that's okay. The only thing that I really expect of myself or anyone else to do if they're getting outplayed or just in a terrible matchup is just don't feed and hold your tower as long as you can. Like, if you're here hiding, playing defensive under your tower, trying to get creep, trying to keep them going down, and then you get ganked by, like, you know, top lane and jungle dive you when your health's kind of low and you're just surviving for dear life, or you got, you know, both bot laners in the jungle, and you just get dived under their tower. There's nothing you can do, right? Like, anybody that gets mad at you at that point, that's their own fault. They can just be mad. You're doing what you should be. You're doing what you can. Like, and when you get tower dived like that, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're already outnumbered and they're tower diving your ass. Like, come on.
Mom says I'm not.
Yeah, just don't get tilted. Don't get impatient thinking you've got to be getting kills or else you're not doing your part or you're going to lose. Just play your game. Play your lane. Take it as if you got to play defense, just play defense. Hey, defense wins games, believe it or not. This right here, I might not have got a single kill or single assist, but me not running out and dying 5 times and feeding the Smolder and getting him items to where he could just very easily push me. Because once you give an enemy a lead and they start rolling with it, it just skyrockets. Like, the moment I die 3-4 times and the Smolder gets his second item before I can finish my first one, I can't do anything against him under the tower. He can just keep popping that stuff on me, melt me down, and just wipe my tower out. Now he's got free reign to go everywhere else. But because we hold our own, we don't take stupid risks that we know aren't going to pay off, and he consistently just clears through my minions as fast as he can instead of trying to starve me out, this ends up in a stalemate. Which, that's what you need sometimes. Sometimes that's the best case you can get, is a stalemate. And it's fine. If you're in a bad matchup and you can end that sucker in a stalemate, you have come out on top. You really have. So yeah, just don't be impatient. Just focus on playing your lane, playing your game. Just, if you got to play defense and take it nice and slow and just try not to die, then that's what you got to do. And it does, like, it's kind of 50-50, right? Half the time, if you can end your lane in a stalemate, your team will either do well somewhere else and you'll win the game, or they'll get stomped in another lane and you lose the game, right? It's 50-50. But what you are doing is you're doing everything you can to ensure that you aren't the reason you lose. Or you aren't as big of the reason that you lose. And that's kind of what I go for, right? When you're playing and you're wanting to do a little better each time than the time before, it's just you just don't want to be the reason you lose, right? It happens. Nobody's gonna have a 100% win rate. Honestly, if matchmaking's working right, everybody should sit pretty damn close to a 50-50. Because if you're always being matched with people at a a very similar skill level to yourself, then it really should be 50-50 whether you're winning or losing. So like, just do your thing. Hold your lane, play defensive, and of course you see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of hanging around behind where I can't take any damage, but I'm close enough that if my minions are getting any kills off, even if I can't get the gold, I'm at least getting the XP so I don't fall behind in levels. Which, luckily for me, this whole thing through, this guy just blew through my minions as fast as he could, trying to push up under the tower. And really, I guess this is another lesson on the other side. If you're in this position where you have the advantage and your enemy just cannot come out and do anything against you, you don't need to clear through their minions as fast as you can. Just take your time, focus on just doing last hits, because the more of your minions that die to their minions, that's less gold, and if you keep them pushed off back on their tower where they can't get close, that's also less experience that they're getting. Because if he'd have just done that, he very quickly would have had like maybe the summoners and the tank and the turret tank, whatever you want to call it, that would have made it up to the tower for me to clear. And I would have been down at least 3 minions worth of gold and experience every wave. But because he's doing it like this, you see here, I only lose 2. And I'm able to clean up everything else. I only lose 2 minions worth of gold there and XP. So like he could be having a massive lead on me in lane as far as resources, and he doesn't because he keeps doing this. You see right there. Only 1. I'm only missing 1 minion's worth of... Okay, because that turret got that one too. But potentially, though, I could be getting like almost no farm and be falling so far behind that I couldn't help but get tower dived. That's kind of what League is, right? If you can get a lead, you want to make the lead bigger, and the lead doesn't have to mean kills. You can get a lead on creep score, which is huge if you can get one. You see right here, right? Didn't lose. I lose 0 creep on that wave because he just blasted through all of mine way too fast. Instead of just focusing on the last hits. Okay, I'll lose 1. 2. No, I got the gold on that one. Okay, so I just missed 1. So yeah. Anywho, yeah, I guess that's it for me. Like, subscribe if you enjoy this. I plan on doing some more of these Average Joe's guides. And just, play your game. Don't get tilted. And when you lose, guys, right, like, it's going to happen. I've had streaks where, you lose way more than you win. And it really... The number of times where it felt like it was just because the enemy team was actually better, that doesn't happen that often usually, right? You got the person that freaking goes AFK or leaves, or you have that what's got to be a bot in your game that does nothing but picks jungle, runs straight into mid lane, and just feeds. Like that crap happens. But in games like this, where you've got a team that's definitely firing on all cylinders and doing their stuff, like... And you can see my mid lane's pretty much the same way. They're in a stalemate. Because we can hold both of these lanes, and this lane's able to push in and actually do something, it does end up in a victory. And sometimes a stalemate is what you need to win.